What about endorsing us to sponsor you becoming a product yourself now? If that means slaving away your freedom of mind, freedom of choice to trade it in for a hero, but it's really corporate worship, when it boils down to spending irresponsibly and companies taking advantage of your consuming to fatten up your ideas and perception for the comfort to ease the pain from the day to day, only to force you to fasten while fasting the moral compass, ready to slim down your chances just to big up the prices they're willing to pay.
It's more important to know how to interact with someone utilizing these personality traits than how to identify the traits in a person. Because when you can identify how to interact with a person utilizing these traits,
The things that, like, just for an example, that two of the ladies would come over and tend to my.
You may very well be in a position where you need that exploration and experience. It's like that's going to be what it takes both for you to feel satisfied with the level of experience you have and also to get an opportunity to experience genuine consequences from it.
And for those of you who don't know, St. Augustine is one of the most haunted cities in the United States. And I think it was our 3-year anniversary. I can't remember, but I had decided to rent a bed and breakfast for us for about 3 days. And we had 2 bed and breakfasts. So the first one was at a well-known haunted bed and breakfast. We had 2 nights there. And then the third night we spent somewhere else.
Good evening. Blessings, praise, glory, and honor to the Most High.
Down the Mongol, shit like that.
Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day to sit and convene with me on this lovely evening. We are really blessed and very fortunate to be where we are right now, to be in the positions that we are right now. Whether or not you have everything that you could ever want, or you're scratching and climbing to get it, you are still in a better spot than a lot of people are. And I think that we should give ourselves a round of applause for that, honestly. Shout out to everyone watching from Rumble, from IG, from Twitter, from Twitch. To each of you, I thank you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your consideration and your ear. It is very much a humbling moment for me to be able to sit here and have these discussions with you guys once again. And we're going to get into this shortly. If you did not have a chance to catch up on Cryptic Creative Paranormal, go check that out. I also have a number of different uploads on the channel that I think would be a good benefit. Uh, no obligation, but it would be dope to hear your point of views on some of the matters that we discuss up here, especially with everything that's going on in society today. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about vexation of spirit, what it is, what it does, and why it's important that we recognize it, we understand it, and we think a little more accordingly, especially in terms of how we live our life, the things that we feed ourselves mentally and emotionally. It's very important that you are of a sound mind, that you have a clean spirit as much as possible, that is as spotless as it possibly can be. We are in a time where you cannot afford to constantly be dibbling and dabbling in everything that you've got your eyes fixated on. The time is getting closer and closer. Everyone is getting called. Nobody is exempt. Celebrities are getting exposed for their true nature. Men and women are getting even more and more outrageous. We've gotten so bad to the point that everyone is switching gender roles. Our children are getting pushed in a position to question their sexuality. Marriages don't mean anything. Relationships don't mean anything. Friendships don't mean anything. There's no honor amongst thieves. It's almost as if the warden hit the button and let all the prisoners out. And it's a spiritual rampage like anything I've ever seen. Vexation of spirit. Vexation of spirit is, it's like sand that is submerged in ocean water. It's it's not like anything that I've ever felt or experienced in my entire life. The sheer weight of it. It's not like anything that I've ever faced. It's a challenge unlike anything that I've ever come across. And I think that people take this particularly light. No one really looks at the spiritual side of burdens and heaviness and being contrite and stressed. Everything is typically attributed to the responsibilities of the world and what it physically does to the body, to the mental state. But in essence, having a vexated spirit is something that you can express or explain. It's only something that is felt. I want to try to break this down as much as possible. Um, I got Jason in the building. I'm going to pull him up. Uh, do me a favor. If you're not following him, make sure you check out his pages. Um, he's probably one of the more methodical people that I've met in terms of articulating their views and their opinions on certain matters. So welcome back to the stage.
Hey, man.
Hey. How's it going? Good evening.
It's going well. Sorry, I've been dark. I was actually on vacation for a while, so I didn't have the ability to communicate. So
Hey, everybody need a vacation.
it was good. It was absolutely needed. But this is a good one. This seems like something we've covered before. Something that we come back to, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's sometimes by coming back to things, we can look at it from a different angle, and then be able to address a different side that allows us to really understand more about it. When I see the term vexation of spirit, what I think of is a deep dissatisfaction or frustration that a person has with their life because they feel they aren't living up to their potential or they are not living their purpose. So it could be seen as purposelessness, listlessness, many different words for it. It's really the inner turmoil that someone feels when they believe that what they want, what they desire, or the goals they have feel unattainable. And almost like they feel like the people that feel this have the sense of, I have spent so much time and I've convinced myself that this is the way to go, and I have been hit with so many roadblocks that now I don't know what to believe. I feel like this is my calling, but all I get is roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and setback after setback after setback. And it's almost like there's this sense that things should be easier, but again, what's going on is the accursed should. The belief that things must be a certain way because of the expectations that we have in our mind. Really, you can say the vexation of spirit is a plague of expectation. There's one for you. It's a plague of the expectations that we put on ourselves because of what we believe we should attain, what we should have. We should all over ourselves, and then we should on everyone else. And we wonder why life ends up being so hard, because instead of looking at what we can control, we have this expectation that life is going to line up for us, even though there's over 8 billion people in the planet and not everyone's expectations can be met. There is a fabric of reality that must be upheld. And instead of us trying to get reality to bend to our will, wouldn't it make more sense to bend our efforts to be more in line with that fabric of reality, to ensure that what we want lines up with what is possible and what, and more importantly, what is probable, and ensure that that probability is seen through a realistic lens, understanding what the realities are and what we can do to match up with that reality to prevent that vexation of spirit. Those are just a couple of my thoughts. I yield the mic there.
So I was with you all the way up to that last part, which actually is pretty accurate for the majority of your thesis. Um, One side of life that is always going to suck is feeling as if you're not doing enough, or you're not accomplishing enough, or you're not where you want to be at right then and there. You're in a rush, you're under pressure, you need to do this, you need to do that, because you can't get this or you can't get that if you don't have this and you don't have that. I've seen a lot of people fall or fold under those type of conditions. It turns people into versions of themselves that they'll later regret or not like. It'll put you in a place where you can mess up relationships because of your will and your need to desperately get a hold of some type of validation. Um, but something that I do want to add on to it is there's another side to vexation, to me at least, and you see it all the time. I'm looking at it right now as we speak. I've watched it during the day, during interactions, watching people in positions of power. When you have it, you want more of it. You're not satisfied with it. Or you've had a taste of it, you lost it, you want it back by any means necessary. The formula that you had once that worked doesn't work now because times are changing and you have to adjust, but you don't know how to adjust, and it makes you frustrated, and it psychologically does something to make you drastically change up the course of actions that you are taking to get people to gravitate towards you. That has to be hectic. That has to be very, very problematic on the body and on your mental state. Another version of it I would like to put out there is being a polarizing individual, someone with a certain fashion sense. You're flashy. You have nice things and you want to show it off to the world. You want to show off your grandiose lifestyle to every single person that will look at your direction. But then you don't understand the pressures that come with it. Because now you got to make sure you have security. You got to have cameras. You got to have protection. You got to keep your head on the swivel because you don't know if there's someone out there that's jealous of what you got and they want it. Whether it's a healthy relationship or it's $1 million around your neck. Everything comes with a price tag in a physical and in a mental sense. And I'll turn it over there for now.
So it sounds to me that you're really focusing in on in becoming really targeting with that idea of expectation, because everything that you've just talked about is an expectation when you boil it down to its base principles. And that's why I'm able to be very articulate, because I always boil things down to the base principles. When I look at anything, I try to find out what the root cause is of that and speak to that root cause. Because like with any kind of weed, in order for you to pluck out a negative thought, you have to get to the roots. And you have to make sure that you unearth those roots to make sure that they don't regrow. Or if they do come back, they're weaker than they were before, because you got to the root of the problem. And a lot of what I heard was should and expectation. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I'm more than happy to modify my understanding if I am wrong. And when I hear about expectations, what comes to mind is an understanding of an externalization of the world. A person externalizing their experiences, believing that there is no internal control, but there is an external influence, and a desire to control, harness, and overpower that external influence with one's own influence in order to get the outcomes that they want. And what I have been saying is that it's impossible to do that. You cannot overpower the fabric of reality. It's impossible. Because anything that does not match up with the fabric of reality is an imagination. And imaginations are not made real unless they coincide with the fabric of reality. Then they can be made real. But that's the only way. And when you have, let's take for instance the person who has the flashy lifestyle, who decides they're going to live in a life of opulence, and they're going to make sure they have everything already planned out, and they are loving their life. They are feeling like they are living their best life in this way. They're going to all the fancy parties. They're rubbing elbows with all the right people. They are driving the best cars. They have the best threads. They have the right jewelry. And they are able to either have the right protection, or they ensure that they're living in an environment where this is normal. And so it's much less likely for them to be victimized because of their displays of wealth. And the question becomes, who does that bother? Because I guarantee it doesn't bother the person who's living that lifestyle. But one person it might bother is someone who doesn't have that lifestyle, who looks at it and yearns for it, and curses the person who has it because they don't. And instead of figuring out what is it I need to do in order to achieve that level of status, they decide to act in a way that either does not achieve that status or does not sustain that status for very long. They violate the fabric of reality in the desire to achieve their own imagination. And even if it does even if their imagination does manifest, it'll manifest for a very brief period of time if it doesn't line up exactly with the fabric of reality. So if you do something like lie, cheat, steal, your way to success, your likelihood of maintaining that livelihood without an immense amount of energy output, an immense amount of effort, trial, and just stress and problems is very unlikely. And if you don't maintain more effort than really should be ever exuded for that kind of lifestyle, when you haven't done the work necessary to sustain it, it goes up in smoke. And then you're left with a worse situation than you had before. You sabotage your efforts because you haven't done the work. Whereas someone who has done the work to get to where they are, and they can sustain it with very little energy spent, because everything they do is supporting that lifestyle, and it all lines up with the fabric of reality. That person is able to easily live that life. And while there is some effort, it's not nearly as much as the person who did not deserve it, who did not come by it honestly. And so the question remains, who does it affect? Who does it bother? And then the question is to why, and what is being done about it. So I'm gonna put a pin in that one right now.
So there's two sides to this. Um, Living a reality that you created through the eyes of someone else that you're trying to mimic, and then there's divine order. What I believe you're referring to is divine order. When the things that God has directed you to supersedes what you want. And if you're operating from anything other than that position, what in turn happens is what you just described. And I've seen it, you've seen it. Some of us are probably still experiencing uh, the results of it because of our own decisions to do things the way we want to do them, because it's quick, but it's quick and it's temporary. And if you look at it from allow steps versus you ordering your own steps, you could say his way might take longer, but doing it that way would reduce the level of pressure that is applied to you pursuing what you want to pursue versus doing it the latter way, which is quicker, but the outcomes and the things that come with it are 10 times worse than what it would have been if you would have just took the longer route to your goals, taking shortcuts. Putting your eyes on everything but your own self and your own purpose, pocket checking and watching everybody else move and live their life and wanting to replicate their romanticized version of a happy life. Either that, or you don't have any direction at all. You just drifting. Like there's just different waves of it that comes in so many forms. It's crazy because it don't even have to do with money. It don't have to do with family or anything. It could be just addiction or clout or the bare necessities that I have a person walk. So for me, I just wanted people to understand a little bit more specifically with why it happens, how it happens, where it starts, and like you said, get to the root of it, remove it, and try to recultivate something more based for you, because everybody's design is different and formatted for something specific to them. Anything outside of that is always going to make you uncomfortable anyway. I just did a live where Ray J was sitting up there in an interview with Candace Owens discussing doing a TV show with transgender men, and it's supposed to be like another version of Love and Hip Hop. And my argument was, something is going on inside of him for him to even think that that was a good idea to put that on national television, where the world can watch, the children can watch. Like you're adding on to this idea that I'm supposed to accept it. And even those little business moves, to me, it tells me that there's something troubling that man. You can't be in that lifestyle that long and nothing is bothering you. But I digress. You got it.
Yeah, in regards to the word that I use, the fabric of reality, I guess you could also call it the divine order, the or divine justice, as it is that which is made um and put into order, into its own order, that is beyond our understanding, yet can be used by us. And by us I mean humans specifically, because humans have the ability to transcend their own environment in order to um, continually evolve, which history has shown is the reason why we've been able to um, go from tropical areas to freezing cold areas, why we've been able to span the entire globe um, and live everywhere in every continent except for Antarctica. And there are some people that do have bases in Antarctica where they set up shop in order to do research, and they're able to do that, which is phenomenal, because we were able to transcend our environment. We're able to master and command our environment, which is great. But the one thing we will never master or transcend is the order of reality, or the divine order. And that's something that must be observed and respected, because all living things must adhere to that divine order, to that reality. Without that, there is no there is no life without that order, because it is just a bunch of chaos of creation and destruction happening at the same time, and nothing can really grow and prosper from that. So there has to be some fabric of order that exists. And the only thing that a person needs to ask is, am I living within that fabric of reality, that divine order? Am I doing things in a way that are going to be sustained in this reality? And if not, then what needs to change? If the things that you are doing don't line up or don't work, then what needs to change? What else should you be doing to ensure that your goals are reached in this real world? What can I do that is going to help me progress? What do I need to change? What mindset do I need to adopt? Or what strategy do I have to implement in order to get to where I need to go, in order to get to where I want to be? And regardless of whether you think it's a predestined fate or you think that it's a um, divine assumption or anything that you think of that a person has, any person at any time can enjoy any kind of progress so long as they accomplish the steps and they do so in a way that matches their reality. Meaning they understand where they are in that moment and they understand what they have to do to get from where they are to where they want to be. And knowing the exact steps and milestones that must be accomplished to get there. Without that understanding, you don't go anywhere. Because if you're looking at it from the space of someone else, where another person might have had a different advantage than you, and they use that advantage to get to where they want to go, you can't use their advantage. So, for instance, if you come from a place of poverty and there's someone else who had a financial advantage, you can't assume that you're going to be able to have the same kind of outcomes based on where you are in the same amount of time as someone else. You have to understand where you are right now, utilize the resources and tools at your disposal to get to a level where you can change your strategy because you have more options available to you. It's all about that's what I mean by the fabric of reality. Understanding where you are right now, the things that you have available, and the temperament that you have, the mindset that you have right now, using that to get to the next to get to a stage where you can change the strategy because your options have changed. But until the options change, there's nothing that can change. So it's all that's what I mean by that. So I'm going to stop right there.
I think it's a combination of things, right? Environment, influence, what you were taught, and where you kind of gauge when a person is up in terms of he wants to do their life early on going into their adult life. We paint a picture of way of living, traveling abroad, riding on horses and jet skis and seeing all these foreign places. And then our version of what it looks like. We got night walkers out in the daytime at the bus stops waiting to get picked up, and pharmaceutical connoisseurs loitering outside of the gas stations version of Hollywood looks like could mean something completely different to another person. We really do become affected by the things that we are around, the people we are around, so much so that we will and try to adapt just to survive. And a lot of what men and women do is really counterproductive. Not see people wish they could turn back the hands of time and do something completely different. But let's say that wasn't the case, and all the stuff that we argue and fight over and we stress over, and we don't carry none of that with us, depending on what you believe, you would really reconsider a lot of the things that you were pursuing. If you knew that this was not a part of your design, would you still go after it? Would you still waste your time investing in any of it? If you had all the answers in front of you, nobody would. And if you still refused and wanted to do things your way, then I don't know what to tell you, but it's sad to see it, what it does to folks, how it changes people, make you greedy, make you sabotage people. You don't get to sleep good at night. I don't know. The only reason I wanted to bring this one back up is because, well, quite frankly, it's everywhere and it's all around us. So my only thoughts on this is it's time to realign, reshape the way we think and the way we perceive things to be for ourselves, because everything is not for us. We might want it to be for us, but it's not always for us. It's time to get humble. It's time to come to the point to where we can accept the fact that we just don't have all the answers, and maybe there's just some adjustments that we can make, some necessary ones. That or stay in a continuous repeating cycle, not going anywhere. I mean, it's always a choice. But if there's a small window where things can be better than what it is compared to, no, I would rather take my investments somewhere else. You gotta know when to cut your losses. Those are my last few thoughts on that.
I like the way you phrased that question. If you were living your design, if you weren't living your design, would you pursue it? Um, Part of my history involves 20 years of research into astrology and another 10 years into research of something called human design, which is it's based on astrology as well as a couple of other factors like the I Ching, and really formulates a system of being able to understand how we operate, what our design is, and what we are going to be most successful doing or performing or gravitating towards, striving for, etc. And there is a lot of evidence that shows that by acting in alignment with your design, the design that made you who you are, so Melvin, your design or my design, understanding what that is, what it means, and how it works, and then trusting it as the template for what is going to create your success is huge. And the moment you begin to trust it is the moment that you begin to see that your life has that purpose and you don't have to live with a vexed spirit because you are now seeing the evidence of progression in your life, the advancement of opportunities, and your ability to make things happen, get things done. There is a satisfaction that exists. And it becomes really exciting to focus on that and to move towards it. And I think that the more we tune in and understand our design and learn how to live it, how to best utilize it for living that, discovering and living that purpose. I firmly believe that this is what leads to a much happier life and a much more fulfilling set of outcomes. I'm gonna yield there.
Well said. Well said. I agree. It takes you some time to get to these points in life where you sit back and really evaluate what you're doing, what you're looking at, what you're reading, your thinking patterns, uh, what you're consuming in general, to get that wisdom and understanding. And a lot of people will take this for granted, and they will only hear what they want to hear and pick apart what was said and come to other conclusions with this that had absolutely nothing. Hopefully, when someone goes to replay and rewatch this, they will remove everything that's distracting them and they'll put themselves there without any over the way that they view this experience, and they'll come to their own determination whether or not to them that you enjoyed your vacation. Lord knows a lot of us need one. I give me, let me get the opportunity uh, to just go. And I'm definitely going to get up and I'm already going to have my bag and you got to deal with people and you got to be a human and you got people and all that, man. It can weigh on you, especially when you don't really understand that folks carry their own. It really is.
Well, I really appreciate
And
this
it's okay to
conversation.
go clear your head.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you weren't done. I thought you were finished.
But maybe,
Yeah, I was just saying that it was this was a
what?
good conversation, and I'm glad that we were able to have it. If any of your listeners are curious as to understanding what their design is, what it looks like, and what it means, they can hit me up on either IG or Facebook. I'm more than happy to provide them with that information, and I'll let them know what the how to get involved.
And if y'all want any type of context or you're confused and just tapped in, well, shit. Um, the entire show was based on the development, the origin, um, just the overall experience of someone who carries vexation. It's not fun. It's not something to take lightly. It's a very burdensome, heavy, heavy weight to carry for anybody. And you might get something from this. I highly advise everybody else who pulled up. We at the latter end of the show, but um, we level back tomorrow. The ad, yeah, just go back, hit that replay. If you got any questions, comments, leave them. We read them, we respond, and yeah, good show, good show.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening. Oh, it do this every time for some reason. I promise, I'm gonna go get this. What it is, I need to go get this service.
I'm going
So
to get
we
going,
out,
but
we out.
yeah,
Y'all be easy.